All right, going live.
Hey guys, it's your girl Sunny D, 1/3 of the podcast GFT Radio Show.
What up, though? It's your boy Willie Stylez from the GFT Radio Show. Just letting you know you can catch us every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern.
And to get some merch, I got some on right now. Go to teesprings.com/stores/GFT Radio.
Grown Folk Talk Radio. Join the conversation. Let's have some fun. Holla.
Yeah.
What up, though? It's your boy Willie Stylez in the building. Sunny, you want to say
Hi, Sunny D.
what up, though? We're in January, and it's January 4th, 2021. Welcome to the new year. So happy New Year, everybody. And
New Year.
Yep, welcome to the GFT Radio Show. What up, though, Joy? Joy and my buddy Phil. Phil
Hey,
from
Philip. I'm going to call him Philip, like Rugrats.
Right. They're on. What up, though? Oh, another one of our faves, Lakila, is on as well. What up, though?
Yeah.
So we are starting a whole new year off. Before we get started with the show, definitely let's talk about how this new year's starting off for us right now. Sonny, how's it going?
I don't want to have this conversation.
Just keep it short and brief.
So far, this year started off crappy for me. I don't know. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, short and sweet, to the point. That's what's up. My new year is starting off pretty good. I spent the end of the year, you know how I was on vacation, spent the end of the year on vacation, came back and started off the new year with loved ones and good friends, and also with work. Today was my first day at work, so definitely had a what they call it, a pretty good day. So just trying to get back into the swing of things. So definitely looking forward to a productive new year. So we'll see how that goes. What's good, Phil? So now Phil is an avid listener to the GFT radio show. He's a podcast listener, so definitely shout out to Phil. Appreciate you always supporting my brother. And we got Silky Dame on the line. I'm about to switch you, Sonny, because your head is like literally on the top of the screen. And
I'm sorry, Sonny. I forgot.
Big or look big? I like look big.
No. You're sitting so high up that you're off the screen.
Oh, I got like a with the chair pad because I got like hard chairs.
Yeah, no, you good. You good. Dame's whole top of his screen is always empty, so he's all right up there. Oh, now he wants to switch it. Now he wants to be like
I forgot her situation. She don't like me at the bottom. I'm switching for Sonny.
Are you saying I got a big head?
No.
I feel like I got a big head today. Don't judge me.
No, you
today.
You I like the bangs, the bangs.
I'm in between styles. I just took a style out that I just got done that I really was having the issue with.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, new year, new styles. Let's do that.
Yeah.
What's good, bro? How's your new year going so far?
Pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. All right.
Same as last year. Stay busy. Stay corona free and fighting with customers.
Well, today's show we're going to talk about fighting with children. So we're doing parenting, and this is a topic that popped up from actually last week's show when we talked about topics that we want to bring up, and one of our group members from the Join the Conversation group, Aisha, mentioned that we should talk about parenting.
Speaking of which, join the conversation on Facebook.
Yes, no doubt. Make sure y'all join the conversation for sure. So one of the things she brought up was parenting out of fear. And then throughout the week, we saw a lot of questions hitting the group. There was questions about disciplining your children, or disciplining children as a step parent or as a secondary parent or bonus parent. There was also questions about parenting or what doing parenting different than your parents did, as well as what was another one?
Yeah,
you posted one about parenting as well.
Yeah, I posted a couple in the group. I know Bean posted some.
No doubt. Yeah.
Now we gotta scroll back to the group. You have to scroll and go.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I was planning to do that. I'm going to kind of go through the list of questions, and but the biggest ones that stood out to me was that was the guidance. So there was a big question about, are you parenting to control your child or to have a good relationship with your child? So
I think
there were a lot of great questions that popped up throughout this week, and so I wanted to explore that on this parenting show. And
right, Joy.
you know, even if you're not a parent, this could definitely be helpful. Because you may end up with a parent, you know, as someone you're dating or someone in your relationship, or it may resonate with you as a child of a parent that's, you know, had some issues or had some traumas and things like that. So definitely stay on, listen in, and you know, definitely hit the comments, and then we'll hopefully have a great conversation as usual. So let's get to it. I think one of the questions an easy question that popped up, and I think that what they say, all can kind of relate to is just.
Child, listen. You don't need. No, Joy. Let me tell you, this New Year's Eve tested my soul as a parent, and when I tell you, I shut down. I had to shut down because I was going to shut down or I was going to go off. And I think that our kids forget that even though you just got grown, you still in mom's house.
Oh yes, that's a good.
So it's respect and boundaries that should never be crossed. So yeah, fuck them kids. I love my son too. I be saying that. I be thinking that about him because he be doing too much. He be breaking shit. He like, you know, he's 7. He a boy. He destructor.
But when I saw you in the bathroom, I knew that was the end for you. I'm like, oh my god,
he's like, he is a stalker.
Oh yeah. She just did a live video, literally in the bathroom because.
And y'all heard him come in, right?
Oh yeah, I heard him busted in.
No, right now I'm in the living room at my desk. He's on the couch right next to my desk.
Oh wow.
No, the funny thing is, I actually laughed at your post originally when you first posted that because I thought it was just funny. I didn't even listen to the rest of it until like a day later because I was so busy at work. I thought it was a funny post, and I'm like, let me not make a laughter at your the like post. So I just switched it to like after I finished listening to everything you had to say about parenting and about the topic at hand. So I just give my explanation and backstory to why I laughed first at your story.
Oh right,
no,
yeah.
I understood.
But I figured you must have laughed because of the original.
No, I knew he laughed because the little the caption was like, this is why I'm in the back. Cause y'all see my shower curtain. Right. Like I'm just like, yo, listen, I can't. I tried.
Then you had good reverb on the bathroom, the surround sound. Like,
right.
She sounds good.
Right, no doubt. Yeah,
she should do the show from the bathroom from now on.
I mean, I've never.
With my get naked shower curtain behind me.
Oh, that's what that was.
My shower curtain says "get naked," so it's like.
No doubt. Well, I've never had the issue with kids busting in, in places where I'm at because they usually don't come for me, right? They'll usually come for their mother. And I think that's a big mom issue. Moms always suffer from. You
remember that meme?
Kid overload.
Remember that meme where the mom was in the bathroom using the bathroom and the kid, she closed the door and the kid hands underneath the door?
Oh, no, door. Yeah.
Like, that's facts. Like, I can't even close my bathroom door. He'll bust me like, what you doing?
Exactly. No. Oh, yeah. No. My kids.
If I lock it, all hell breaks loose.
I've literally watched my kid walk in and knock on the bathroom door. I'm sitting or standing or whatever in the room, and they'll walk to the bathroom door and knock on the door to talk to their mother, even though I'm standing right there. And I'm like, what do you need? Oh, I need to ask mom something. And it's like, but your mother's in the bathroom.
I'm at work.
I'm a parent too, right?
Like, no, I'm sitting here working from home. My son's teacher is here on the couch that he's sitting on, working with him. he will stop what he's doing, go get the juice out the refrigerator, bring it to me to open it. It's like you just walk past her.
A whole ass adult.
She like, Dad, come here. And he like, no, my mother is. I don't care what she's doing. Like I want her to open it.
Right. Yeah. I definitely think that's a mom thing, a mother attachment thing, because most kids. I mean, I've really never, besides a couple of single dads, I've never really ran into a father that's ran into that issue where he's like, yeah, my kid's always busting in on me. I've never, even the single dads though, they'll be like, yeah, they'll come to them about almost every little thing, but they don't have the issue of like them busting in on them and stuff. Like I
remember my post from back when he was smaller. I used to try to take a bubble bath, and next thing you know, he come in there butt naked with his toys. Like, come on, let me just. I'm like, so it becomes his bath, and he like, why you getting out? I'm like, because you just like you don't even like why you because he'll start coming there throwing in toys. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, no, it's not your bath, it's mommy's bath time.
Right.
Like he'll come in there, but next thing you know, his little leg coming over the curtain. I'm like, so you don't care about nothing. So
I guess the question is, did you do that to your parents or to your mother when you were growing up?
My mom had 5 of us. Mikey wasn't playing that.
What about you, Dame?
I think I have.
Yeah.
I think I have. I think I've knocked on a door, busted in on my parents,
No, see, our parents have rules. You don't go in their room.
Yeah, my parents had that rule.
Our parents have rules. You don't go in their room. Only time you go in their room is when they specifically called you from downstairs to upstairs to passing a remote that was across from them.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, see, my parents had the same thing. They were literally upstairs in the attic area, and we were all the way downstairs, and we would have to ask to come up. But if they called us, it would be always something silly like, "Oh yeah, grab me that thing right there on my dresser." It was like,
"Oh, take my plate downstairs." No, you told me one time your parents. Yeah, your parents. You told me your parents did call you upstairs just to take the plate downstairs one time.
Yes,
a few times. That's the only time we was in their room.
Yeah, we were serving.
Me being the last born of 3, I think
like a super baby. Like he was. How many years between you and your brother?
8 and 9.
Yeah, so you talking. They had to revisit child rearing with him. So
they just stopped caring. They're like, forget it.
No, my daughter is 18. My son is 7. So I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
I know my daughter used to follow me into the bathroom too. Like she's the same like my son. She used to sit there and ask me, "What you doing?"
See, well, my mother was definitely not the motherly type. Like I never looked at my mother as that person I needed to go to and like run to. Like, Mom, I need this or I need that or can you? She was never like it.
My mom was motherly, but you not to bust in the bathroom with her or nothing.
Yeah, I would need something for me to feel like I needed. So I always went to my dad. Like I would always be like, if something popped up, I would go to him. If there was something that needed to be scheduled, I would go to him. It was like he was the go-to guy. And I've always tried to be that for my kids. And so like my 3 youngest kids, they kind of look at me like that, where they're like, they're still attached they're still attached to their mother's titty, but they're not really
I understand.
They're not really super dependent on her. Like they depend on her for what they think she can do for them, and then they depend on me for everything else. So it's like
my daughter still asks me for stuff.
Spread that out.
My daughter at 18, she get on my nerves and I want to stab her sometimes. She still asks me for stuff. Like she'll call me like, "Mom, can you like she in between switching schools. Mom, can you email to school? Can't you email to school?"
Right.
Like and she gets mad when I do that because I do it because you need to learn how to do it yourself. What if I drop dead there tomorrow? Why are you saying that? Because it could happen.
Right. Or I was teaching my teenagers that from when they were like 14, 13. Like
I'm always in it, and she still gets mad to this day.
Talk to your teachers, talk to your administrators, get help, blah, blah, blah. You can't just depend on me to do everything for you, like you said, because what if I'm not here? Or what if I'm not available? Or like you said, God forbid, what if something happens to me? So you need to be able to be self-dependent.
No, every time I say something to her, it's what if I drop dead? She's like, why would you?
Now I never bring that on myself. I plan to live forever. So
no, I say that all the time.
I plan to be on vacation when they need something. So, but yeah, now Joy has a 21-year-old and a 13-year-old. Well, she's got a 21-year-old that acts like a 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old that's as big as
like a 21-year-old.
So, but you know, the oh yeah, there she goes. She says her oldest lives on his own. Finally, he's out. You know, not even finally, because like these kids now, they're like that was applaudable because I think Sean was he 20 or was he already 21? I think he was 20, working on moving out. And you're talking about a time when kids just don't understand how to get out their parents' house. You know, my oldest kids are still bouncing back and forth in the house. Well, my oldest son hasn't even left yet, but my oldest daughters are bouncing back and forth in the house. And the you know, I think like on average, most of the kids that I know, they're anywhere from
because that 20-something, early 20s, I still live with my mom.
25 still living with their parents. You know, not until they hit 25, 26 do they usually start really migrating out. So, you know, that was definitely applaudable to the fact that, you know, he was out there, you know, already doing his things. And you know, her son Sean is one of those kids that's super, super smart, was in a lot of trouble as a youth, but super, super smart. So you could see it anyway that he could be on his own and self-sufficient and independent. But I think it's also a testament to how she raised them, because like Joy is not the type of mother that just goes in and starts, you know, babying her kids. Now she loves her kids to death. Like I've seen her do some amazing things with her kids, but she also is a realist, and she makes sure that they understand how real life is. And she, you know, she doesn't sugarcoat shit with them. She makes sure that they understand where she's coming from. So I feel like, you know, he was built for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like when I was younger, I was built for that, you know, because of the way my parents brought me up.
And that's how I was when I finally got out. I never went back, because it was like my mom had me. I graduated a year early from high school. So I had a year out before my friends, you know, going to school for a little bit, ended up having my daughter in between that. But even during that, I was used to paying bills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so at least not like rent, but like it wasn't really rent.
Right.
And when I finally got out on my, like, I lived with a boyfriend at one point and paid rent. So that gave me some more, but I was used to doing it with my mom, helping out with the groceries, doing stuff like that, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then when I finally got out on my own, I never went back. I tell my daughter, my mentality is once you get out on your own, if you can continue on, like, and I told her, like, even though we fuss and fight, that's one thing I will say, that I think that if she did what she's financially somewhat together. Mm-hmm. So if she keep at the path that she's going and financially, she'll be good.
Oh yeah.
Some stuff she still got to learn, but I will always teach her, like, she know how to do the basic stuff, cook, wash her clothes, you know, she's learning now how to pay certain bills, like getting used to paying more bills than one and trying to manage that. She loves working, so her work ethic is good. So it's just like, now when you're finally out on your own, like once she gets her first apartment or her first own little thing, she's good. She bought her first car by herself.
Right.
Saved her a little bit of money during that first quarantine, got them unemployment checks because she was unemployed for a little bit, stacked her money and bought her own car. Like that's an achievement to be not even 18 and buying your own car.
Right.
And so far she still has it. Like she doesn't have payments. She still has it. She gets stuff done. Sure, I help her out with getting stuff done, but we also tell her, this is what you need to get done with your car. You need to be mindful of this. You need to. Her first breakdown was during a snowstorm. This is what you need to do. You need to start calling these people. You need to do this. Like she paid out of pocket, but had you called your insurance because you're paying for AAA service and you called somebody, let somebody call somebody else that wasn't a part of your plan, and then you had to pay out of pocket. Right. So stuff you got to learn, you know. No doubt. You definitely have to teach these kids to be self-sufficient, because like, and it's bad to say, I say all the time, if I drop dead tomorrow, you need to be able to be all right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I mean, you got to be, they need to be prepared. They need to be ready. You know, and I think a lot of times the things that we learned as kids, we bring that to the forefront, things that we felt were necessary. I mean, some people, I think, just parent how their parents parented.
See, I parent
because that was their example. But I think that, you know, when you do make great parenting decisions, it's because of the decisions that you felt were most effective for you as a child as well.
Yeah, I think I parent both ways, out of fear and like my parent to an extent. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want your kids to fail. You want them to know more than what you knew. Like my mom was good at paying her bills and making sure we always had, like, we never had a place where we were losing the place. We never had a lights off, stuff like that. Like those are things that we just never experienced. We might not have had the most of money, but we never, like when we moved places, we always had lights on that day. Like my mom always paid her bill. So it was never, we about to get evicted, lights gonna get cut off, like none of that, cable or nothing. So that's how I raised my daughter. Like in our house, none of these things you got to worry about because we're always good on that area. Because the way I live is out of fear. I'm a fear of being homeless. I've been that. Mm-hmm. So we're not going back to that.
No doubt.
And that homelessness was not in my control. But once I got control, I got my apartment. I did what I needed to do. That was completely out of my control when I was homeless. But we're never going, because we were there, we're never going back there. Right. And that's the way I parent her. You can't live with anybody else. You can't stay with people. You need to have your own shit. If I don't tell you nothing else, don't stay with nobody. Because then you get lax, you get comfortable. They get uncomfortable, and now you've outworn your welcome, and it's a conflict. So as soon as something small happens, you can get out. I've been there.
Yep,
you can be the best person. Like I paid rent, I've brought groceries, I've cleaned and everything. So it was no just cause to put me out. You just got tired of me because I wasn't moving at the rate you were moving at, or the way you wanted me to.
Is there a lesson that you were being taught by your parents that you don't teach your child because you felt it wasn't effective or that it doesn't fit nowadays? Or
I mean, it's not really a lesson. It's just what I've seen to, like, I don't want to say that my mom did this, but she was used to having somebody there to assist her. Mm-hmm. So I felt like once she no longer had that partner, it was, now you guys got to help.
Okay.
So for me, and then and on top of that, I saw that once, and this is an issue with my relationships with me personally, is because when guys take care of you, they start being controlling. This is what I saw. Now you're caring for me. You're doing the bulk of the load, and now you start being controlling. Mm-hmm. And it's relationship issues. So for me, I don't, and it sucks to say, anytime I was in a situation, I've always been the person that had provided the most. Okay. Except for the one situation where I lived with the guy. Like, right. Even though he paid the rent, I did everything else. But he was the sole person that paid the majority of the rent and the bills. I paid, help pay, but like now I'm in a situation where I'm the sole person that makes sure everything's done. So I don't want either of my kids to be dependent on somebody else to maintain where they stay.
Right.
Dame, so that's the lesson I learned.
Right. So Dame, what did you get out of parenting from your parents that you try to translate to your kids?
Well, one of the comments I made in the group chat, I don't want my kids to feel forced to like somebody. That's one thing I'm not going to do, because my mother grew up strict. She always put on, she was a people pleaser, as somebody used to, long time ago, told me that you couldn't let people know what's going on in your household. Like, don't just smile.
What goes on in the house stays in this house.
Type look, no, don't, when you go out in public, you don't put on a sad face. You don't do this and you don't do that to show perception. Just, you got to smile all the time. So, but like, if I'm sick, you can't let people know you're sick or whatever, don't feel good. I want you to do this anyway. No, she one of those people like to force you to do a lot of things. So when I got home after being forced to do something I didn't like to do, like, I can finally relax and just finally be whatever I got to be to, and she like, oh, you wasn't acting like that earlier. Why are you acting like that now? Because you basically forced me. Like, I'm not going to do that to my kid.
Yeah.
And my kids are really young right now. I'm just trying to get past this stage to get to where you guys are at. So I'm taking all the information you guys are dishing out, like your experiences.
Mhm.
One thing I do take out of my childhood that she did watch my association with my friends. Like she let me hang out with Will, and Will was actually, I think he's like a couple of years older than me,
My
so he had
heathen.
a little bit more. He had a couple of life experiences more than me. He helped me let me do a lot of stuff early on. Like I took the bus with him for the first time. My mom was worried about him. My mom was, she was like, she was so afraid that I was going to turn into my brothers.
Mhm. Yeah,
Early on,
she was definitely
that
fearful of that. Yeah.
yeah, she was afraid I was going to do that. So she trusted Will with my life. Like,
Oh my wow. Literally 2 years older than
little
boy.
does she know.
Right.
He got me in
Will
more
was a
trouble than
heathen
it.
too.
Right.
No, no, but me and Will talked, and he gave me some information. Thanks. He kept me out of trouble. Showed me how to get out of trouble if I didn't find myself into it. Not a lot of my friends were actually grown enough to have the life experiences that in the friendship me and Will had, where we're not on drugs. We're not. We're
Are you
actually
sure?
decent human beings. We're, like I said, decent human beings. Not the greatest, but we can pass. Somebody introduce us to our family members. Like, hey, I know that guy.
Right. So yeah. So I and just actually to piggyback on what you were saying, Damon, earlier about not wanting you to turn out like somebody else, right? And that I think that's part of, and we're going to get into that next, is that fear-based parenting. That was one of the things that I think that my um, aunt was really bad at, was that she didn't want some of us to turn out like our other cousins and that kind of thing. So when she was parenting us, there were certain things like she would go super heavy on the religion, super heavy on the behind beatings, super heavy on just, hardcore parenting, because she was constantly in fear that we would end up being like somebody else. And I think you kind of spoke to some fears as well that your parents had, Sonny. But I think that, for me, one thing that I did take from my parents, specifically my dad, was just trying to be like the all-purpose parent, like always trying to be there for my kids when they need support, be there when they need guidance, be there when they need to have fun, be there, so all the different aspects of being the parent. He wasn't just the fun dad or the strict dad or, the organized dad or the soccer dad. He was all of it, right? And I think that, being that multi-purpose parent was something that I learned from him and wanted to bring to my kids as well. One thing that I didn't bring, and my mom, she always apologizes to me about this, which is funny to me because I really didn't think about it until she started apologizing for this. But one thing that I didn't bring was the being so strict that you cut out the love. The point of
Got
being
you, yeah.
To the point of almost being a controlling parent. And I never thought my mom was controlling. I just felt like she was just very direct. She would, when she told you to do something, you did it. Like Sonny was just saying, we had rules in the household, and there were certain rules that we had to follow, and we just followed them because our mom said to follow them, and she also threatened our lives. So
yes,
it was like
that's normal.
Yeah, and my thing was being strict to the point of being, I won't say loveless, but you know what I mean, not being affectionate. It didn't hit me, like I said, until I was older, and I would hear certain people say things to their kids, and I was like, man, my mom never really said that kind of stuff. And hugging their kids, and I was like, dang, I just realized my mom never really hugged me a lot either. And the funny thing for me is I was a huggy person, like I like hugging, but my mom was like it had to be a super special occasion. Not even my birthday was good enough. It was like there had to be a real good occasion for her to hug us. So
yeah, we hugged. It was what you want.
Yeah, but now there was a protocol in our household where we had to say good night and I love you, and we had to say it. It was a rule. Like you have to go to before you go to bed, you need to come up to the door or go up to the intercom and tell us good night.
The intercom.
Tell us that you love. Yeah, we had an intercom.
Y'all fancy. Okay.
They needed to my dad was kind of like a makeshift electrical engineer, self-taught electrical engineer. So but yeah, they had rules, protocols. We had orders we had to take. I mean, it wasn't crazy. It was because they were both military. They were both military. They were both sergeants. Yeah. And my mom was a staff sergeant. My dad had made sergeant and had got taken it away because he was so hot-headed. But they both were drill sergeants coming up in the Army. So they lived that lifestyle and they put that to us. That put us to that task. And I think that's another reason that we were very adept to being able to be self-sufficient. But anyway, I think one of those things, that was one of the things that I didn't bring was the lack of affection. When my kids were coming up, I kissed them, I hugged them, I told them I love them, but out of love, not out of protocol. I didn't require my kids to tell me they loved me, especially my stepkids. I didn't require it. They would say it when they wanted to, and I let that be. I felt like it was necessary to allow them that space to do that, where I was like, I did it out of the protocol, and I eventually began to love my father as I got older and understood why he was there, what he was doing, and the love he was giving me by being there and doing what he was doing. So, and matter of fact, y'all, I'm gonna come back to her other comment. So Joy said that she had this talk with Sean about how she was strict on him out of fear, and she never hugged him because it was just taught him. Oh, she was. Maybe I think she might be saying she was teaching him that she was tough. But a broken parent can't show a child love out of her brokenness, and that's the big thing, And I felt like, hey, I'm not broken, and I felt like I had the capacity to show that affection, so I wanted to show my kids that affection. And but going back to her other comment, she was saying how her kids watched her struggle, like you were talking about, Sonny. But she says that and one of the things that they learned was how to be entrepreneurs. Her sons own a record label, but she says she wishes her family taught her responsibility versus survival, and that was one of the biggest benefits that I learned, because when I was with my aunt, I was learning how to survive. I was literally learning how to just not die. Versus when I moved in with my mom, and then eventually my dad came along, was that I started to learn responsibility. I started to learn how to be a responsible adult, how to take responsibility for my actions, how to stand behind my word, how to do things that I could be proud of and not feel like, I had to, maybe lie about things or whatever the case may be. But they taught me responsibility at all levels, versus where I was only learning how to survive when I was in the hood with my aunt and all my cousins. And we were just basically just learning literal raw instinct survival. So yeah. I think that's a huge point, is when you learn that responsibility, and it's got to be well-rounded responsibility, because I think there's a certain way you can learn responsibility and you still don't take away enough to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. So, I think my mom was like a mixture of a couple things. Like we all were spoiled to a degree, and then it like a shift changed. So it was more, and then like a lot of stuff happened within the household. And we also learned, because we were girls, so we learned certain things that you're supposed to learn: wash your dishes, clean, and stuff like that. Whatever. My grandma really taught us. If you knew my grandma, if you stayed with her at some point, you knew how to clean, because grandma was 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun come up, you cleaning and washing the whiteboards, all that, like just rearranging the cabinets, just miscellaneous stuff. Right. So we got a mixture of that. And then my mom didn't teach me really how to cook until, like, I was self-taught, but my mom taught me how to cook like certain things, like Thanksgiving meals and stuff like that. Okay. So that's why, like, my mom passed, it was weird for me, because when I got, as an adult, I got my first apartment, my mom taught me how to make Thanksgiving. I did Thanksgiving and Christmas in my house that year. And my mom taught me how to make the food that I made. So it was like some things she taught us. Like she wasn't big of a hugger, but we hugged her. And when we hugged her, she was like, what you want? You know, let's and third. But like we were spoiled to an extent, if that makes sense. And we were disciplined. So it was like a mixture of stuff. It depends on at what period of time in the household we were at.
Right.
And then as adults, we learned things. And like once I got to an adult, my mom gave me the responsibility of paying rent. You're now grown. You need to start contributing. So that was, she did it at her time. But you're talking about somebody who, out of all my grandmother's children, that moved out of the house and really never went back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like out of all my aunts and uncles, my mom was the first kid, and she was the baby to move out on her own and not consistently come back. It was like, I'm out. I'm not coming back. And that's pretty much what I did when I finally got out that last time, because I had moved in, moved out, blah, blah, blah. But once I got to that mindset of living in the shelter and stuff like that, it was like, okay, now I can't. Mm-hmm. My whole thing is I can't live with anybody, because at that point I had lived with people, family members, paid rent, did all this. It was a bunch of nonsense. And it's like, you want me to kiss your ass, even though I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not causing any problems. I'm cleaning. I'm doing everything I should be doing as a tenant.
Right.
And whenever you so choose, if you want to argue me about something dumb, I'm supposed to kiss your ass. And I learned that's how I learned. And that's why I tell my daughter, you can't stay with people. Oh, it's that complacency. And then they think that some people get that idea like they're doing you a favor. And then it becomes, they want you to kiss their ass. And at the end of the day, you could be out on your own, not dealing with none of this shit.
Very true. Very true.
And that's like, if I don't teach them anything,
right.
I want them to be able to be out on their own and be okay.
Right.
Now, from my standpoint, I've been in the same situation where I was living with somebody else for a short period of time, about 6 months. To me, you can't be comfortable. I wasn't complacent, no,
exactly,
because I needed my own space. I did not feel right staying with my friend, even though they was cool with it at the time. But at the same time, if a person who wants to be self-efficient, they won't feel right just being in that person's house.
That's not even that. I don't like a lot of clothes on in the house. I ain't got time to be having to be dressed.
You're trying to be naked at home.
No, it's not that. But like, it's just a like he said, it's a comfortability level. No, yeah. I know me. I like to be relax is me comfortable.
Right.
I'm in your household. I can't be as comfortable as I would want to be. And that's why I'm really worried about staying at people's house, because I like to be comfortable.
Right. And and you're a guest in their house. And like, you know what? Thanks for that little. I'll take that little corner. You can have the rest of the house. I don't care. No, I need to stretch out. No, I'm a 6 foot person, 5'10". So
we are.
No, I just need my own space, and now I got my own space. Right. You can't tell me shit. Like, listen, right. And then I've had people say, "Can I come stay with you?" I'm like, I don't know, because then I got to start putting clothes on. I don't got time for that.
Well, let's talk about fear-based parenting from a whole standpoint, because we've all kind of touched on it a lot, because our parents at some point or another have definitely parented us out of fear. Actually, before we jump into that, I'm gonna bring up, because this brings up the exact topic. I had already touched on this comment from Joy, where she was saying about how she was strict on him out of fear. And that's, a lot of parents are strict on their kids out of fear of the unknown, fear of the things they do know about the streets or about life, or about
kids don't know.
They think their kids are going to get into. Exactly, because we know our kids don't know. But she was saying here that she watched her mom die loving her brother because he was in the streets. And her son, Sean, was fearless like him. So her brother was killed, and a month later, her mother passed away from a broken heart. Yeah. And I think that a lot of parents that do that, they go through that period of time.
Exactly, Jasmine. Exactly.
Hard kids so hard that they parent their younger kids out of fear, or the other kids out of fear, while they're over parenting that kid that's just deep into trouble. And not to say that they need to give up on that kid or they need to walk away, but I think they do it to their own detriment. And that actually happened to my my mother-in-law, my late mother-in-law. She had tried her best to parent her son out of the streets, to the point where she only focused on him and had totally forgotten about my ex-wife and the things that she needed. To the point where, when he did pass away, two or 3 months later, she passes away just because she literally had worked herself to death trying to get him out of the street, get him in, on track to do the right thing. And, he ended up passing away. He wasn't killed, but he died because of his activities. And then, she died shortly thereafter. And it's heartbreaking because that effort that they put into it is not to say it's misguided. It's almost fruitless because the kid doesn't want it, right? They're doing it out of the fear that they know where their kid is heading, but they neglect themselves or even their other kids to the point of everybody's detriment. Jasmine was saying that her mom taught her to be very independent. And if she couldn't afford to be on her own without a roommate, then she wasn't ready to leave. And that's true. A lot of us would tell our kids, hey, don't get out here and start being dependent on others when you have a proper good home here,
Because then if that roommate mess up, you depended on them.
You're stuck. Exactly. Then you're
like, stuck. And that's why I say I never stayed with somebody and I couldn't afford to rent by myself.
No doubt. So talking about parenting out of fear. As this article I pulled up is talking about 3 ways to stop parenting out of fear. And they like they were saying, your underlying when you're parenting with an underlying core value in fear, not horror movie fear, but the type of fear that slowly erodes your self-confidence, inner peace, sense of well-being, because we're fearful of what might be or could be if we do not act now. That's micromanaging your kid to death. And it says that it's the kind of fear that is so deeply ingrained in our psyche and externally in society that we're not even aware of its influence. One of the biggest things is fear-based parenting is what causes nagging, persistent dissatisfaction with the parenting experience. And it also makes parents feel like they're out of control, overwhelmed, or chronically exhausted and inexplicably uncomfortable with the process of raising kids. And a lot of that is from the fact that we will parent our kids to the point of being just exhausted from checking on them and getting after them and trying so hard to be on top of them. And that's when you realize that you're parenting from a place of fear of what might be, or fear that they're not ready for what's next, to the point that you're directing every little turn that they're making. I mean, going to the picture that I posted for this show, where it's showing the mother putting the hurdles up or taking the hurdles away from the kid as he's running down the track. And we can't parent that way. We have to
learn. Sometimes kids got to learn the hard way.
Exactly. And I'm a big proponent of my kids learning the hard way, making those mistakes, tripping over their decisions. Jasmine said their mom wasn't very strict with her. She was strict and didn't openly talk to them. She had 10 kids. Oh, wow. She felt that once she taught their basic morals and she was old enough and mature enough to make decisions, whatever happened was on her because she taught her the basics. And sometimes, I mean, I can't say that just teaching your kid the basics and then letting them out loose is the right thing to do, but you need to be that healthy balance in between helicopter parent and free range parent. You definitely have to find that good balance. And now it's kid dependent too, because a kid like Jasmine, who may have been able to make the right decisions, but a kid like Zay, who needs you to help him through all the decisions, you can't parent them the same, right? You definitely can't parent them the same. You have to be able to say, okay, I know that he needs this additional help where she doesn't, or vice versa.
I keep telling my wife that she's a unicorn, that her situation was totally different from what I've been told from her family and her, that the free range that she had, she should be pregnant with 4 kids right now and drop a high school dropout. I mean, that was for Sunny, actually.
No, so what? No, my mom was strict. My mom was strict.
No, the comment.
Across the street, we couldn't.
No, the comment.
Oh.
But yeah, so I think I mean, and I think you're right, Dame. A lot of times that when we see these when you see these kids who are, you know, basically free range kids, you know, you definitely wonder, like, how did they make it to where they are when they don't mess up, right? Like, how did you do that? Like, what gave you that guidance to be able to just negotiate life to where you didn't make all the mistakes? And I think, I mean, you know, I actually know, I was about to say, I thought Jasmine made this comment, but I know that in my situation, a lot of the kids in my family, we ended up relying on each other, or you know, our older cousins, or we relied on aunts and uncles to give us that kind of guidance.
Well, sometimes it's not even that; it's just other people.
We had to get it from somewhere, right? And that's where the village comes in.
That's where it's like when I mentor and I tutored in this program that I was in high school. I was working with kids my age and younger. It was from kindergarten to I was in 9th grade, 10th grade at the time. And you get to see, like, even when I did my Pop Warner stint, and I was a assistant cheer coach and a team mom at one point. You get to see these kids, and sometimes being opposite their relation, they open up more. So I had one girl in particular. I worked at this program. I was a mentor for this program in the city of Trenton called Smile. It's called Project Smile now. But it was a program where we dealt with middle school kids. And I had one girl, I should take them with me. That's back when I was a hardcore Jesus person and I was all in the church.
Right.
And I took her to church with me and we went skating, like we did all the stuff together. And then she had ended up getting pregnant and she was scared to talk to her grandmother. Her grandmother raised her. Grandma was real strict. But before then, she was in a program I was in when she was younger. I was, helping her with homework. So now she's in middle school and I'm seeing her again. And we just had that vibe. And I got to talk to her and I talked to her grandmother. Like, I don't know where she is right now, but I know she did have kids very, very young, like myself. And well, not very young, but like at that early grown 18, 19 age. Mm-hmm. And it's like you just get to talk to other people and get the advice. Because I know when I was in high school, I was acting out. I had stuff going on within the household, so I would go to school and act out. And I had a teacher that I never talked to a day in my life. She's a peer teacher. Never said nothing to this lady ever. Walking through the halls one day, and she walked past me, she tapped me. She kind of like pushed me, but tapped me and was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What?" Being myself, mind your business. You don't know me, all that hoopla. Right. And I came from a 2-parent household, mom and stepdad, And she was like, she said, you don't care about your life, do you? And I was like, huh? She said, you got a lot of stuff inside you that you need to get out. And like she kept talking to me, and I was just like, lady, you don't know me. And every day she would say something to me. And one day she pulled me in the room and she said, you need to figure out how to get it out of you. And I was like, huh? And she kept telling me, you need to figure out how to get it out of you. She's the reason why I started writing poetry.
Okay.
Because I didn't know her from a can of paint. But she knew that something was going on within me that I needed to get out because I was going to be out of control. And then on top of that, I was in ROTC. So, the sergeants yelled at me, get shit together, So it was them. My mom was strict as hell too. But sometimes when you're that strict, it causes kids to go bananas.
Right.
So I think we have to find a mixture of being strict, but also being parents that let their kids learn from example.
Right, no doubt. So
because
this is what this article talks about in terms of the 3 ways to stop parenting out of fear. It mentions, the fact that there are certain parents out there that are very comfortable with their parenting and at peace with their kids, and it's not that they are have never experienced self-doubt or fear or anything like that, but it's just the fact that they've acknowledged it and that they accept it. And I think that's the one thing that I know I have done. I've accepted that there's going to be things that your kids are going to do that you're not going to like. And you're going to have things that your kids are going to get involved in that they're not going to feel good about, or that they're going to, have pain over. And then there's also things that you just can't foresee, but you can't parent them to the point of restricting them to keep them away from it, because they're going to eventually hit that wall anyway.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to
Clint.
accept that and to be able to allow them to live life or make those decisions or make those mistakes. Like Smooth was just saying, he says a failure affects kids in different ways. He's a big proponent of learning the hard way, but you have to be able to deal with the consequences of falling. Some bounce back better than others. And you're right. He says strict has different meanings for different people as well, and that's very true there too.
Yeah, and then you got to sometimes you got to do a parent tough love. That's where I'm at right now with my daughter.
Yeah,
tough love. I love the fuck out of you, but you're gonna have to learn the hard way.
But going back to his point about dealing with failure, I think a lot of times we fear our kids' inability to handle failure to a point, and especially if you are parenting out of fear. That's the reason you have fear, right? Or not the reason, but that's one of the reasons one of the things that you fear is that they're not ready to fail. You may be trying to keep them from having failures in certain aspects of life to the point because you don't think that they're ready. No matter how old they get or no matter how many experiences they have, you continue to try to block them from failure or trying to, coddle them or catch them before they fall. And that's one thing we have to stop doing is parenting them in a way where we feel like they'll be protected from these failures or protected from these falls. I mean, when you recognize what the type of kid or the type of person your kid is, when you recognize how they deal with adversity, how they deal with change, how they deal with failure, then you can make those adjustments and make those decisions. You can be a little more strict on the kid that can't really handle or can't really make those right decisions. Or you can be a little less strict or a little more free with a kid who bounces back or who knows how to take that hit and keep on moving. Or like me, when I was a kid, I was the type that I excelled when I was facing adversity. So my mother was always a big proponent of making me or pushing me to do bigger things because she knew that the more I would face, the better I would try to get at it, the more I would try to tackle it. So you have to recognize those things in your kids in order to be able to parent them efficiently for each individual kid.
My thing is that I'm not scared to let them fail at certain things. It's how they come back from that failure. I mean, what's the reaction after they do fail? Are they just going to lay down? Yes. What did they learn? Are they going to just roll over and quit and just try to do something else, or are they going to be determined to learn from their mistakes and move on?
Right. Yeah, Jasmine was pretty much saying the same thing I was saying about the emotional needs or needing more guidance, and then while observing and learning what they need to do. Now I know you have younger kids. You two have younger kids, but are you recognizing some differences in your kids already in terms of ways you need to? I mean, I know your oldest daughter has some additional needs from an educational standpoint, but in terms of just with the type of people that your kids are, have you started to notice those differences?
A little bit. Jade is picking up a lot quicker than Madison was at her age. There's a 3-year difference between those two. Jade is wanting to go to school right now, wanting to learn. She's trying to go in class when her class is over, trying to go to Madison's class to learn with her, give her homework, which is funny. And Madison is Madison. She's been kicked out of class a couple of times. No, how you get kicked out of Zoom class? So, so you must be doing something crazy to get kicked out of Zoom class. But she wants to be held. She wants to be coddled. Basically, Jade is more independent. She wants to do it herself. She's been like that since she was like 2. Like if she doesn't do it herself first, if she doesn't do it herself first and doesn't ask for help, she's just over it. She doesn't want to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Josiah, you see in the videos that this boy is just a ball of energy. So still waiting for that to come out next couple of years or so.
Right. No doubt. So let's get to the three ways to stop parenting out of fear. I think we all have our one thing or another or multiple things that we fear. So one thing is figuring out, are you parenting out of fear? Are you being overprotective? Are you seeing challenges with, making decisions for your kids instead of with your kids? Are you doing things to kind of help them versus things that, like you said, are you having to pick them up and move them along? Appreciate you, Smooth. Thanks for showing up, bro. So underlying all the feelings is fear. Fear adds an edge to every parenting experience. So one thing they mentioned is being mindful. So being a mindful parent is one of the biggest answers. And that's what I was talking about in terms of being able to spot things that you need to do. They mentioned that, being able to be present as we possibly can in the parenting experience, be in the moment. I think a lot of times being in the moment can sometimes, people think about when you're on a date or when you're hanging out with friends, being in the moment is not being on your phone, right? Or not. But I think from a parenting standpoint, are you too busy helicoptering your kid to understand where the end result is going? Or are you too busy trying to feel out the negatives versus seeing the positives that your kid is going to experience when they want to do a certain task or do a certain activity, and you're debating on if you're going to allow them or not? Are you too worried about all the negatives behind it versus seeing the positive experience that they're going to get out of it? Being in the moment, they mentioned being mindful, taking the practice to be mindful, being there with the kid, doing things, actually do the things with the kid. When you're playing with your child, play. When you're bathing your child, bathe them. When you're preparing a meal with them, prepare the meal. Be present and what you're doing. And I think a lot of that is being able to make these experiences not only just fun or memorable, but make them meaningful, right, with your kid. I think a lot of parents sometimes also kind of disassociate the activities they do with their kid from being, I would say, a meaningful experience. They just associate it with just doing a task and trying to do everything that they can because they've mapped out, 50 million things for their kid to do, and they're not really benefiting from it themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then another tip they say is let go of how things should be. Learn life is impermanent and unpredictable. So, the unknown, let things happen. Let things happen, And I think that you kind of touched on that, Sonny, in terms of, trying to keep your kid from running into issues that may just happen. Right.
Yeah.
And Dame, I know you haven't run into that a lot yet, but that's the first thing you want to do, especially with girls, and being the fact that they're going to experience things that you may not understand because being a man or growing up as a little boy, you're not going to understand some of the things that they're going to do and they're going to get involved in. But knowing that they're going to be okay, in the end, or teaching them how to be okay, trying to make them stronger to be able to handle those big things. Let's go to this comment. Oh yeah, never want to tell your kid in a negative way. You always do this and that. That's big. That's
no, I do. Listen. When my daughter being disrespectful, I tell her you always. We have that conversation a lot, and I think, and I was just talking to a friend today. I said we have the same conversation, the same argument. I tell her repeatedly, our arguments are basically simple. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I think you need to remember who you're talking to. Because I ain't none of your friends.
Right.
And every time it's that same thing. And she's like, well, I don't know how I'm talking. If I'm telling you,
that's my middle daughter.
That's just how I talk. And I'm like, so that's not, because we can have a conversation with Aunt Nikki or Aunt Jazz or whomever, and you're fine. The tone changes with me. And that's the issue every time. And I tell her the respect level is an issue for me. And we're always, every time we talk, it's not that I don't want to hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I can take what you're, it's not what, and I always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it to me. You got to remember, you're not talking to your girlfriend. You ain't talking to your aunt. You're talking to your mother. I'm not tolerating. As soon as you get that tone, the conversation, I don't care what you got to say. And she gets mad, like, what you mean? You don't care? I'm trying to, no, because we're done. As soon as you come out with that, if you just listen, who the fuck you talking to? Because I ain't none of your friends. And that's the conversation we have. So I do always say that to her. Like, you always do this. You always do that because this is the, since you were probably 12 up until current. Every argument, I say the same two things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, and who the hell you think you're talking to.
Right. So Dame, you were saying that, the positive reinforcement and letting your kid fail at small stuff and protect them from the big stuff. Talk us through that mindset, what you were thinking there.
Oh, picking friends. That's gonna be an iffy right there, because you want them to have friends. You want them to have the ability to, express themselves in some way, form. TV shows, music. You try to monitor that type of stuff, because all that stuff does have an influence on the way you think, feel, and act. You listen to so much to something, you end up being that. You end up feeling that, like feeling a lot of R&B, being smooth like me. You know what I'm saying? Picking up the ladies. Be quiet, Sonny. Playing sports. Picking the right sport, but coming to like paying bills and getting bills with like car notes, cell phone, bills, stuff, big stuff that they can really be detrimental in the long run. You want to protect them from that, but let them pick out the little stuff like their favorite color, this and that, just minute stuff.
No, I get you. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think sometimes, but see, I agree, but I disagree to a certain extent. I'm at this stage with my child that I feel like she has to learn the hard way. It's tough love. I'm always going to be here to save you and pick up the pieces. But I need you to understand what it is. I need you to appreciate what I have done for you, even when I didn't have to. And then I still continue.
You're a bailout.
And then I still continue, because at 18 years old, as much as the disrespect has been going, you still call me for gas money. You still call me when you need help with stuff. Mm-hmm. You still do things. So, and now you're paying real bills. And you like, hey mom, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, you got to figure it out. Like you need to, like, you got a job, you got to manage your money, because I'm not going to save you. I need you to be appreciative of because you, up until this point, any job you have worked, your money is yours. Any program you had, your money is yours. And I still provided. Like, she's been working since she was 15. I still took care of your hair getting done. I still took care of stuff that I don't need to do because you now have a job. Mm-hmm. Those are luxuries, not something I need to do. I shouldn't be paying your phone bill. And you, as much as you go over my minutes, you should have been off my plan. Now you're on your own plan, phone, like everything you have to learn. So I feel like sometimes they need to learn the big. They need to fail. Not that I want her to fail. And I'm not saying it because I don't want her to fail. I want her to prove me wrong. And if you're going to be standing on this, I'm grown. Be grown and grown and grown.
That's a life lesson.
But if you should fall, mom's still going to be here. But I need you to understand and appreciate what you have.
No doubt. Because I feel you there.
And that's what I think. And that's like, even though my mother was tough on us, even though at 18, I was paying rent, like 18, not even, my daughter has not paid rent at 18. I was, mind you, I graduated a year early. So when I started working, not even 18, I'm going to go back further. I graduated a year early. So I was paying bills and stuff and helping, contributing early on. I appreciate her doing that because it made me understand what I needed to do as an adult as I got older. So like I fell hard.
Right.
But I took the lessons that my mom showed me and did what I need. And now I'm where I'm at now. I'm a homeowner.
Right.
My sister is a homeowner. We got 2 more trying to be homeowners. Like, so that's where we're at. Like, you have to, I think tough love and feelings at some point hard and hitting that rock bottom, you got no choice but to go up.
True,
and at the end of the day, if you need help, the parent that raised you is going to be there. They always want you to get to that level of, I got this.
Right. So
it's more of your parenting to wing them off, right? You're basically protecting them from the big stuff, like I was saying before. But as they get older and older, they're going to take more responsibilities on. Hopefully, what you've instilled in them will be there for them to make better decisions, and you're going to be their backup. You're going to be their safety net for a certain period of time. But you're going to let them fail on their own so they can learn. Hopefully,
like, I'm not going to let her reach homelessness.
No.
Right.
No, because then moving back in with you, you're not naked no more. So
I was anyway. She knows she used to it. She got used to it.
Well, so
mind your business.
So the biggest thing from both of you that I definitely agree with is that you definitely have to let them fail. You definitely have to be there for them when they absolutely need it. But then there's like, where's that balance? Where is that middle point? And so
because my mom could let me stay with her when I was in a homeless shelter.
Right. Well, so Jasmine made the comment here that she says it's harder to monitor these days because kids are exposed to things and have access to things extremely early and is out of the parents' control. So it has to be nipped in the bud and taught early at home. And then she says she'll let her kid fail, but be there to catch them and then revisit the convo to see what they learn. Now, I don't know what point she means catch them. When I hear catch them, I'm thinking of I'll let you fall, but I'm not going to let you hit rock bottom. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm reading from that. I don't know if that's what she meant. So Jasmine, definitely clarify if I'm misreading what you're saying. And that part I don't agree with because
they're not going to learn because you're always you and that's the thing because we were raised. Our parents gave us everything that they didn't have.
Exactly.
We're raising our kids the same way. We don't want them to do overly above that. So we're and that's the standpoint we have to be at. And I get it. I 100% get it. Nobody wants to see their kids hit that rock bottom, but sometimes they have to because they lose that struggle. They lose that whatever that motivation.
That fight back, that motivation.
That motivation. Because like I said, if I hadn't been in that shelter, I've stayed with everybody. I could have left shelter and stayed with like I told on the last show. My boyfriend came and got me, and guess what? I went back, and I got my own place because I had to learn to not depend on some. And that's the thing. If you raise your kids that every time they fail, you're gonna be there to swoop in and catch them every time. They know that no matter like if my mom not gonna let me or my dad not gonna let me, and this is why they're gonna be so used to that. If you drop dead. And I use it because this is the most extreme way to put it. If you drop dead tomorrow and you so used to catching them when they fall the next time, they're not gonna have nobody.
Right.
And
nobody. Not even that they're not gonna have nobody, they're not gonna know how to do it themselves.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
So in my situation, this is my situation. My parents were the type that they wanted me to be self-sufficient, but I wasn't making mistakes. And so they were looking like, okay, we're going to keep pushing you and making you take the next step until you finally fail out and figure it out. And when I did finally hit that spot, I still never really hit rock bottom. I always knew how to maneuver and figure things out of that survival instinct, right? That I learned as early on as a kid. But I hit my own rock bottom to the point where I was like, damn, I don't like this. I don't like where I'm at. You know,
it could be a state like Dave said, uncomfortability.
Yeah, right. And
it don't got to be like worst case. It could be just extreme uncomfortableness. That's rock bottom for people.
Exactly. So my thing was, even though I felt like I was good, I just wasn't great. and I didn't like not being great. I didn't like not being comfortable, like you just said. It was that extreme uncomfortability that was like, you know what, I got to get out of this. But my parents weren't there to bail me out, or weren't there to tell me, oh, it's okay, come home, or it's okay, you'll do this and you'll do that. No, my parents were like, oh, you got to figure it out. And so now I got to figure it out. I got to use those tools they gave me early on to start. And Jasmine mentioned it, that, you know, she learned some things from her mom that she didn't listen to early on, but she realized later on as an adult. And I got to learn that stuff as a kid. I'm 16, 17 years old learning that stuff because I'm like, okay, I want to be grown so damn bad. My parents were like, go out there, be grown. And so now I'm out here, and I didn't have to pay rent or anything, but I had to go find a place to live at 16 years old and figure this out. And I gotta still finish high school. I still gotta go to college, and I still gotta get a career out of this life. But I gotta figure this all out on my own now. And I took that to heart because my parents don't play. They're like, hey, you out there now. You done here. You know, your room is now a closet, so keep it moving. So I took that to heart, and I got out here and I did what I had to do. I started a business. I did this. I did that. So my thing was, I needed that failure and hitting that rock bottom, at least in my mind, to realize that I needed to fight harder and to push harder, you know, and do it on my own. Now, I did feel like my parents loved me enough that if I was homeless, or if I felt like I was to the point where it was extremely bad, like I said, I was that good and was like, it's time to fight. So I felt like if I was that bad, I felt like I could depend on my parents to do something or to say something, or at least give me some advice. You know, I felt like they loved me that much. So there is a good balance you can meet without
going to extreme.
And right, exactly. And I think that if we strike that balance early, we strike that balance when they're kids, when they're young, I think that they'll realize when they're late teenagers, early adult, that they'll still realize that I'm at this bad part of my life. My parents got me, but they taught me enough that I may just be able to get out of it on my own. So
yeah, and it's another thing that
was key. And actually, let's go back to the article real quick before we get too deep into this and too late into the show. But the last point that they made was that balance is key. Overcoming the fear-based parenting comes down to balance. Without fear and concern and worry, parents will fail miserably at nurturing their kids. Fear-based parenting is when you concern and worry go too far, and the imbalance is created. So you got to learn how to be authoritative. Like my parents, they were like, hey, this is law, this is the rules, do this or you're gone, or you're going to be in trouble, or you're going to be this, or you're going to be that.
Mean it.
And it says learning as much as you can about the authoritative parenting style can help you greatly in your efforts to overcome fear-based parenting. Focus on controlling what you can and then letting the rest go. And a lot of times I think what that balance can be is, you know, that you have a home and that you can offer your kids a home. If your kid is ready to move out, or you're ready for them to move out, and you can get them to the point of getting out there and trying their best to live on their own, to the point that they may miss some payments, they may get eviction notice, whatever it takes for them to try to figure it out, and then say, hey, you know what, all else fails, come home. That's okay. That's really okay. You know, but don't, as soon as they be like, Mom, I lost my job.
Like, come on back.
And it's so hard. It's like, no. Go find you a new job. You'll struggle. You won't eat for a couple of weeks, but you'll be okay. You'll live.
That's,
you know, don't be quick to say, you know what, I got to jump in there and I got to save them, you know, day one. Now, again, every kid is different. Some kids need a little help. Some kids can't get out on their own. You know, I mean, not to be putting this on certain parents in this room, but some of y'all are probably going to have a kid that's going to be with you the rest of your life. But we also have kids who are going to be with us the rest of our life out of the sheer fact that they just have no ambition. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like my oldest son.
That's
I don't know if it's ambition or if it's just his lack of trying or whatever it is, but it's like you're 26 and you're still not.
See, I don't have time for unproductive ass grown ass adults. So you can get the hell out.
Right.
You sit in my house. I'm coming home from work every day, and you sitting there in the same spot. I will choke you. You will be home. I told my 7-year-old homelessness. I told my daughter that. I said, your mouth is gonna have you homeless.
Right.
I love you, but you're gonna have to learn. And I wanted to say this. Like, even this is the mentality that I had with my daughter early on. I had her 18, I had her at 19, right? Pregnant 18, had her at 19. I worked early on. I worked up until I actually had her, and I went back to work. And then shortly, I felt like the balance was too much. I couldn't do it, right? Because I didn't have consistent babysitting. After not having consistent babysitting for quite a few months, and I'm a person, I got strong work ethics. Okay, I can't do this. It's not working out for me. I'm not a late person to show up to work. I'm not a last minute call out person. This ain't working for me. I got on welfare and was on welfare for 3 years. Not was it 3 years? It took me a while to get on welfare. And I finally got on welfare, and then by the time she was 3, I was back off again because she had free schooling. They have a program that's free schooling, and I was able to work. That's how I got my job with the state. I worked around her schedule because I made it where that I can pick her up, I can drop her off without anybody helping me, because I never wanted to be, I can't go to work because I don't have a babysitter. If she wasn't in a program that I could work around, I wasn't going to be able to work. And those are the things that, and it's bad to say because a lot of people ask me why I'm so self-sufficient and why I don't depend on people, is because sometimes you just can't.
Right.
And if you want a real job, you don't got time to say my babysitter, my babysitter, my babysitter, my babysitter. No, I took 3 years off, and that's the longest I ever not worked. Since I've been working since I was in freaking 7th grade. They had little work programs when I was in middle school. I've been working. So now I got to take off 3 whole years. I wasn't used to that. I did it because I needed her to be of age where I can do it on my own.
Right. No doubt.
Because me, other people was problematic for me, and I'm not that person. My work ethic is impeccable, so I don't have time for that. But like that, for me, that was rock bottom of not being able to consistently work.
No, that's what I was saying about friendship being very important for your kids' life, because
hey, little mama.
to give 2 good examples, Will, my good example, and we have another mutual friend who basically lived in his mom's basement to this day. This guy is like X amount of years old. I'm not going to give out too much information, but if I always thought if something happened to her, how is he going to survive? Right. Who's going to take care of him if something happened? Like what Sonny was saying, if something happened to her today, he has no job and still lives in his mom's house. Like, how is he going to survive? Who's going to take care of the bills if he's not working?
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of times, and in that situation, I think a lot of times it's not only the parent, but at some point the kid has to start looking at the responsibility that they have to take over their own life, right? I mean, like that friend he's talking about, he's old enough to know better. He has a kid of his own, and he knows that there's no free lunch, right? That you gotta earn. I mean, he's had good jobs in the past, but the thing is like you have no
motivation,
ambition
to push through and just do what you got to do to make it. It's deeper than that. You have to
you probably got all the girls trying to talk to him, even though he lived an unproductive life. Nobody got time for that.
You'd be surprised.
No, I know a lot of homosexuals.
Right.
That got girlfriends every couple months.
Right. And Jasmine made a point here. She says that she was financially independent at 15 and officially moved out at 18. And I mean, so she had more going for her than I had going for myself at that time. I was 16, definitely not financially independent, nowhere near it. I knew how to hustle. I knew how to survive. That was it. Moved out at 16, and tried my best to do what I could do to make it. But I also was going to high school. I was also still trying to party. I was also still. So I think that the mindset was a little different. I was mature, but not living maturely. Where it sounds like Jasmine was living maturely, even at a young age. And then she's saying that, some of the things she's talking about in the comments is she's speaking out of the thought, not experience, because her kids are all under 8. But, I think, the experience you have is what you've lived through, right? What you've gone through as a kid, or what you've experienced, or what you've not experienced through others, but what you've observed through others, right? What you've seen other people go through. And I know that Jasmine is an aunt and has, nieces, nephews, cousins that she could see going through certain things. I'm sure she has friends that she could see going through certain things. So there's a lot of things that we take, even if we don't experience them ourselves, or if we're not ready to do it for our kids, we've experienced it with others, or we've seen others. I mean, I'm always used as an example when it comes to parents that are around me, when they want to see how can I be a better parent, or how can I be a more active parent, or how can I be this, how can I be that. They always try to use me as an example, and I'm like, I'm still learning myself. I'm still trying to get this myself. But I think it's because when we see those examples, we take from those examples, and we take those experiences and say, what are they doing right, or what are they doing wrong, and how can I make this work for me? So I think we should always do that, use those. But there's resources out there too. There's articles, there's books, there's debates, or not debates, what do you call them? Seminars. There's all kinds of things. I'm going to leave us with the last point of that article, that 3 ways to stop parenting out of fear. And I'll post the link as well. Don't live in the future. Don't live in or through your children's future. Fear lives in the future. Live in the present. And basically what it's saying there is, you have to be conscious of the fact that your kids are going through life right now. They're going through life. They're doing things. They're learning, and you're learning with them. You're learning how to be a parent. You're learning how to guide them. You're learning how to trust them. And if you spend too much time trying to curtail them from being hurt, curtail them from being failures, if you're too much trying to influence their lives because you didn't get a chance to do this, or your parents didn't do that for you, and you're trying to do all these things for them because your parents didn't do it for you, or you're trying to make them be a doctor, or make them be a astronaut, or whatever it is that you thought you were going to be, Olympic gold medalist, you can't force those things on your kids just because those things weren't done for you, or that you didn't get those out of your childhood. You have to be ready to allow your kid to live their life. Allow them to be who they are going to be. Allow them to run into the issues, run into the fire, trip and fall, bump their head. I always tell my kids, I'm going to let you bump your head. I'm going to let you bump your head a lot, because you have to go through these things. I let my kids argue and fight, and to the point of fist fighting, the siblings, because it's like you're going to have to go through these things in real life. You have to learn how to quell situations, de-escalate. You're going to have to learn how to manage your anger, manage your fear, manage your success, manage your life. And if you don't do that for your kids, if you don't allow them to live their life, you will exactly. Don't live vicariously through your kids. If you're living through them,
you kids.
right, through your kids. So if you are living through your kids' lives, you're making a big mistake. Not to say that they don't mimic what you do or mimic what you want, or that inherently, like my kid right now, he wants to build a computer. I'm a computer engineer. Not to say that he didn't come up with that feeling on his own, but it's something inherent in us. My dad passed it to me inherently, not because he wanted me to so bad to do this one thing. He wanted me to become a chemist. My dad wanted me to be a biochemist. But because of his love for computers and technology, I picked up that and became a technologist. And then I've never discussed those things with my kids outside of when my kid wanted to do something with a computer. And I said, look, if you're going to learn this, you're going to have to break this computer down. And now he wants to learn how to fix computers.
Learn that shit, because I like taking shit apart.
Right. But that's a engineer's mind, right? And that's going to happen with kids. But to put your loves and your desires and your wants onto your kid is just not the right thing to do. Let your kid organically move into these spaces. Give them all the opportunities. Like I've let my kids play all the sports. I've let them do all the activities. My son, I wanted him, of course, to be a great basketball player, and and his brother wanted him to be a baseball player. I think his mother wanted him to be a boxer. So there's like all these different things we all want him to do because of his size and his prowess. And so now he's a violinist. So, it's like.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's crazy because my son dad wants my son to box. He's really good at basketball. I don't know what the fuck he's about to do because he also he's smart. Like he likes music. He can pick up a song like it's nobody's business. But he's very meticulous with how he plays with his toys. He's very smart with figuring the shit out. So I don't know what the fuck he's going to be. He's not going to work for HR because I think he might be a janitor because he likes sweeping and mopping. Like either that or I always say, and this is bad to say, I think he's gonna be a butt naked or like a stripper that's gonna be like a maintenance man coming out of maintenance because he don't like clothes like his mother, and he always trying to clean up his mess even though he's done it. He's like he got a Swiffer in hand, like he pulled a vacuum out to clean up a mess. It's normally because he don't want me to see that he made the mess.
Right.
But he has the Swiffer on lock, the vacuum, and he'll sweep some shit up.
Nice. So yeah, definitely let's not parent out of fear. Parent like your parent the best way your parents did and leave all that other garbage behind. And then be in the moment. Be with your kid, do with your kid.
If I was living vicariously my parents, I would either be a nurse, a teacher, or a pimp.
Oh, nice.
Just all over the place.
Pimping.
Pimp/drug dealer, or I would be a nurse or a teacher.
Right. So
got options.
Right. And then ultimately, I think we also had the question of on the join the conversation group is are you parenting to control your child, or are you parenting to have a respectable relationship or a loving relationship with them? And I know we all want respectable relationships with our kids. We definitely don't want to control them. And not to say that parents that want ultimate control, or I don't want to say ultimate control is too much, but who want some type of control over their kids are bad or horrible parents. They're just, they just have to have a balance. You got to have a balance. And I think one of the commenters mentioned that was having a balance of control and guidance, and as well, or as far as guidance, but then also having that balance of a good relationship. So it's definitely important to build that relationship because those are the traumas that kids will take with them. Is like dealing with being controlled or feeling like
my mom controlled us, and all of us had kids immediately. Like not immediately, but not all of us, because my brother and my little sister didn't have any kids. But for us, 3 girls that she controlled, oh no. Right. I had one that I was pregnant at 18, 19. I think Jazz was like a year or 2 behind me. Now I was a little bit older because, she got to go to college and act up. So then she came back like, I'm pregnant.
Terrible.
So she left us alone, Mikey. Should have left us alone.
No doubt.
She let us have boyfriends.
Yeah, I tried the no boyfriend thing.
No, I think our parents set unrealistic goals. Because my mom like, you have a boyfriend. I'm like, how does that work? And I told my daughter, don't show up talking about you going to prom with some nigga I don't know.
Right.
Like right. At prom night, you don't just automatically have a boyfriend. Who the fuck is this person?
Well,
I need to know who they are immediately.
Friends, so I never had that issue. No boyfriend.
No, my daughter got her little boyfriend now, and I just think for me it's weird. But at the end of the day, she's 18. Thankfully, she's responsible enough that I taught her. I think and it's funny because she cracks me up because she was like, I don't want to be a parent too early because you're always broke. I feared her into don't have kids because you're always gonna be broke. At least for her, I was homeless, broke, and a bunch of other things. Don't have no children because we're gonna be homeless, broken, a bunch of things. Thank God for that because she's on present. She's taking care of herself that she won't have any babies, and I'm not trying to be a grandmother anytime soon. So
being a grandparent is fun though.
Huh?
Shout out to Kyrie. My
I could be a grandparent and not at the tender age of 37.
I was a grandparent at 37.
No, I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to make it to 45 without being a grandparent.
Good luck.
I'm worried about my son because he's gonna get to that age of he recognized himself and then he got dimples, so it might happen he got good hair. They might try to snatch my baby up, and then that he's autistic. He's gonna be hypersexual, so I'm have to worry about him humping on bitches and acting dumb. And I'm like, that's my baby. I'm like, no, it's not. We're gonna have to go on Maury. My baby ain't sleep with you. Now I'm not gonna be one of them moms.
No doubt.
Not gonna be one of those moms, but
no doubt.
I just don't want to be a grandma until after 45.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel it. Jade, hey Jade. She can't hear us, can she? Hi,
my
Jade.
headphones in.
She's like, I just want to be in the picture.
Right.
It's okay. You're cute. We like you better than Dame.
Right. So make sure y'all check us out every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
And we like you too. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna brag on you. Don't do that, Anwar. Don't do that, Joshua. Don't do me like that.
Go click subscribe.
You gotta join us one night.
Make sure y'all subscribe, hit the notification bell, get at us.
I might be out of your DM.
Right. Also,
not in that way, but you know.
What was that? What'd you say?
Huh?
What did you say?
No, I'm saying this Anwar, he writes. He like writes for the paper and stuff. I knew him in high school.
Oh, okay. No
so
doubt.
He's talking junk to me right now, and I said he got to be on the show, and I'm sliding his DM, but he does, just so you know, it's not inappropriate. I don't know what you got going on relationship wise, but I didn't mean it in that type of way. But I'm sliding your DM immediately.
Right. He said no doubt. So we gonna get Anwar on here one of these days. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes.
So definitely get us on demand, free 24/7, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Music, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud. No longer Blog Talk Radio. Got to get rid of that. And make sure you get your merchandise. We got the thing is shirts. The we don't have that shirt, Damien. Put your shirt down.
They don't put that on shirt.
Sorry.
GFT logo shirts. We have
See my hoodie.
Hoodies. We got masks. We got all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, bad.
I'm
seeing him tomorrow. He picked up his shirt that he won.
Oh yeah. We got to get.
He's picking it up tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely got to get that to Bass. And then
the giveaway soon.
Definitely check out our new site, gftradioshow.com, the new and improved gftradioshow.com. That's where you're going to be able to get your one-stop shop for all things GFT Radio, or your favorite social media, GFT_radio on Twitter and Instagram, GFT Radio on Twitch and Facebook. And you can always catch us.
Who's that?
Your favorite girl, Sunny. Why not follow me everywhere? Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, tickety talk. And you can catch me on my blog, unreservedlyme.com. If you're reading right now, I'm good. But yeah. Clint is not on tonight, but you can follow him on at eTrendGroomy on Twitter and visit him at his blog. You know, we love it. It's dope at thekingstruth.com. He just posted something today. I just got to check it out. I got the notification, so I'm going to check it out. But he couldn't join us tonight, but his info is right there.
He was in the comments, so definitely
he's slid up and through our comments.
Yo, no doubt. He always comes through, always looks out for us, making sure we doing what we supposed to do.
Yeah, shout out to Silky Dame, even though you know he be doing too much.
Right.
In my daughter's voice. He's doing too much.
Tell them where they can find you, Silky.
AKA Carl Wislow.
Agent Shinlow. Where am I at? I don't know. I'm Shinlow21 on Facebook and Another Level Up Twitch. On Instagram. That's it.
Twitch, yep.
So make sure Shinlow21 on Twitch.
No doubt. And as always, it's your boy Willie. Willie Stylez. Willie Stylez everywhere. IG, Twitter, TikTok.
What you got in that cup, Willie?
You said what?
What you got in that cup?
Right. You can get at me at Willie Stylez everywhere. IG, Twitter, and TikTok. I'm Willie.Stylez on Snapchat. I really don't do much on Snapchat, but I will follow you. Willie Stylez 94 on Twitch. And visit me at stylesradio.com. That's where you can catch all the hot tracks that I'm listening to. Been listening to a ton of music over the last week. So make sure you check that out. WillieStylez.info for all my links. So make sure you get at me over there. And as always, he's out. We couldn't get him on tonight, but he was in the comments earlier. So definitely roll back the comments. I think he was on YouTube. So roll back the comments and definitely check out Smooth back there, giving us some good gems as well. it's 100% not water in my cup. That's for sure.
Listen, my bottle gone.
Next week.
I had half a bottle though.
Oh yes, yeah. Sonny had a whole half a bottle of wine. I had probably a half.
This was my New Year's. I didn't have New Year's Eve in my. Well, I had it in my house, but I didn't participate. This is my New Year's.
It's almost gone.
Oh, I got some tequila in there too. Like, but you know, it's
almost gone.
I have to work tomorrow, so I can't be involved in all this mess.
Right, no doubt.
Me too.
Well, as Clint would always say,
see you in 7.
Hey guys, it's your girl Sunny D, 1/3 of the podcast GFT Radio Show.
What up, though? It's your boy Willie Stylez from the GFT Radio Show. Just letting you know you can catch us every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern.
And to get some merch, I got some on right now. Go to teesprings.com/stores/GFT Radio.
Grown Folk Talk Radio. Join the conversation. Let's have some fun. Holla.